All right, guys. So today we were going to do a seller presentation, and we were going to do um, seller objection handling. But I talked to so many of you guys this week, and it seems like our markets are picking up. But I'm also finding out that some of the issues you guys are having is you're trying to do too much on your own. So for many of you that are listening to this, it's time to consider building a team. And there's a few of you on here that talked to me this week about being on a team. So when I decided to do this, it's going to work out for both people. If you're still considering being on a team, or if you want to build a team, I did this class a couple times in the last, I don't know, a few months, and it's been really extremely helpful for people. So I wanted to go and jump into this. Let me share my screen real quick. So one of the things that I figured out in the last couple of years is this slide, which is an amazing reminder for us as agents to pay close attention. So if you see here, it says eliminate, automate, and delegate. So that's kind of the theme I've been having the last couple of years with a lot of success. Many of you know I run a few different companies. So this, with a team, it gives me the opportunity to really expand horizons, I guess, and do things a little bit more effective and efficient. And I'm all about trying to get everybody on the same page as far as what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing as agents. I'm sure you guys have heard, if you could pay somebody 15 to 20 bucks an hour to do something, you should probably do that. There's so many of us agents, we get caught up in this thing where we have to upload photos, we have to arrange marketing, just all this stuff that isn't really money making activities. So I like to jump into this right away and say, eliminate, automate, delegate. Anything you do, make sure you ask yourself that question. And then the little boxes at the bottom is do it now or do it later. And a lot of the team leaders or agents that want to build teams are like, well, if I ever get to this, I'm going to build a team. If I ever do that, I'm going to build a team. So I put this little presentation together to help make some better decisions on that. And so obviously when we build a team, or the reasons we do want to build a team, is we're doing things we hate, right? So for me, I hate putting buyers in my car. I hate doing open houses. I hate door knocking. I hate most of the old-fashioned lead generating activities. I especially hate paperwork. I don't even know how to log into win forms or zip forms or whatever you call that. I know the contracts, don't get me wrong, but I don't know how to do those parts of the things that I just hate doing. We're doing a lot of things with no ROI. Agents are spinning their wheels a lot right now, trying to figure out technology, trying to figure out marketing, trying to figure out what's going on with the market. And we're just not getting a lot of ROI. So building the team is probably going to make the most sense right now. And this is a really big reason. There's a lot of you guys that I talked to this week that you're just like, I can't do it all. That's right. You can't do it all, and you shouldn't be doing it all. Leads are falling through the cracks. So I see I have a few of my team members on here, and we have 25,000 leads in the database. And honestly, they fall through the cracks because we don't have enough manpower to get through them all. And yeah, we're using AI and we're trying our best to scoop all those to the top, the cream of the crop, bringing them up in the databases. But still, when you're working on your own, and this used to be my biggest problem, I would be showing property all the time, and leads would come in. I'd get home from showing property and write an offer for that buyer. I'd be exhausted, and then I would just forget to follow up with people. So I'd have 4 or 5 sign calls a day that never even got returned sometimes. So that was not a very a good thing for my business. Many of you are working every single day, not taking days off, and that's very unhealthy. Mistakes are costly. When you're doing everything yourself, you might forget to do things, and some of you might have heard this story before. In December of 1996, I sold 12 homes, and I did not have an assistant at the time. And one of them, I forgot to order a termite inspection. That cost me about $8,000. And then one of them, I forgot to even fill out the transfer disclosure statement. And that was very costly too, as you can imagine, when the lawyer letter came in. Burnout's very real. A lot of you guys are experiencing that right now. especially with kids at home and whatnot and trying to work. Um, Broker splits and price ranges. This is something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. And I'm not going to beat up individual companies, but several of you that I know are on 70-30 splits, 60-40 splits. And at the end of the day, there's not enough money to help with a buyer's agent or teammates, because what's happening is all your money is going to the broker. And we figured out that there's not enough money with commission compressions and the amount of transactions that we especially have right now. You just can't be doing that. So if you're at a company that gives you an amazing split and a cap, then you can start doing other things with your money. And it's not all the time buying leads, it's buying people too. We want to be free, of course. Scalable is the main reason. One of the things I figured out is if you have a certain amount of leads, a certain amount of budget, and a certain amount of people on your team, you can almost calculate how many homes a year you're going to sell based on how many leads and how many people are on your team. So on my team, I like to try to have everybody sell at least 2 homes a month. So if I have 10 agents a month, I'm pretty safe that we're going to do about 20 transactions a month. If I have 5, and so on. So being scalable is pretty nice. So we call that predictable monthly cash flow. I learned that a lot when I started my property management company. And when you could pretty much predict how many homes you're going to sell at all times, it's a really good feeling. And yes, it's very freeing too. You want to work in other areas. Some of us have metro areas where it could take you an hour to drive across your town. And then when the leads come in, you're like, oh, I don't want to go unless I'm 100% sure they're going to buy a house. And then those leads fall through the cracks too. So when you build a team, you can have somebody in one city, another city, and still be the team leader and still be the trainer for these people. So it works out really well. So procrastination, I want to get into that a little bit. A lot of agents have so many excuses for not building a team, and I just wanted to run through these really quick. Some people say, hey, Mike, I want to build a team, but if I have commission splits, there's not enough money left over at the end of the day, especially some of you guys in a lower price range market. You're like, there's just not enough. Well, the reality is that's not true, because your production will double, triple, quadruple, and the net income to you guys will shoot up. So keep that in mind. Don't worry about the money. Some of these agents that I talk to say, I don't think I have what it takes to be a team leader. I don't really have the experience or the skill set. And that is true sometimes. And you can see right here what I wrote down is fix it. So make yourself a good team leader. You guys have enough coaching on these 12 weeks coaching to, really make a severe impact on your business and really blow up. So if you don't feel you have the value, why don't you hire a team and watch how fast they'll hold you accountable and watch how fast you're going to learn. But don't let that scare you, guys. It's not worth it, because you have me, you have a lot of other people, you have mentors all around that can help you. Control freak. Believe it or not, when I was new in the business, I wanted to do everything on my own because I didn't think anybody was as good as me. I wanted to make sure the contracts were done right. I wanted to make sure I was showing the right homes. And it just got to the point where it was a breaking point. I couldn't do it anymore. And I just had to decide I can't be a control freak anymore. Time to train. Well, I don't have time to train agents, or I don't have time to train myself. Well, you do. Remember, people that say they're too busy for something are usually the most broke. So you have to time block for you to train yourself and your team, because that's key in real estate. And we're going to get into that in a few minutes as well. Here's another good one. Agents always say, I don't want to hire a buyer's agent because when they leave me, which they all do, yes, they all do leave you eventually, they're worried that they're going to take their clients, right? Well, of course they're going to, a lot of times, and that's why you just got to protect yourself in your independent contractors agreement to where you work out a certain split. Because here's the reality, guys. If Joe is working with a buyer for 3 months and then they decide to leave you, well, Joe has that relationship with that other person, with that buyer. So you can't worry about them taking all your clients. It just happens. And, we got to come from abundance mindset and not scarcity. So don't let that get in your head either. Office space. A lot of people say, well, I don't even have an office at where I'm at now, where I don't have room for a team. There's definitely no reason for brick and mortar when you run a team. There's plenty of little rooms that you can rent, executive suites. You can meet at libraries. You can meet at clubhouses. More importantly, you can meet on Zoom like this, you guys. So don't worry about office space. That should have zero to do with it. Proof in the pudding is right now, all of our team is not going to our brick or mortar office. My transaction coordinator, Debbie, she's working from home. Deanna, our marketing person, working from home, where all the agents are working from home, and it's working just fine. Do I miss going into the office and seeing everybody? Yeah, a little bit. But the honest answer to all this is, if everybody is in the office, they're not selling homes. So don't worry about office space. And this is the other, I think we kind of touched on this. If you don't feel like you're a leader, then you need to practice being a leader and practice some management skills and really build your confidence up. And this hiring a team, like I said, is a good way to get rid of that really fast. Industry knowledge. So a lot of people right now are like, Mike, I want to build a team, but what if we go into REO? What if we go into short sales? What if we go into loan modifications and all that stuff? Well, that's true. It is called industry knowledge and you need to know it, but don't let that hold you back, because you can easily start studying REO. You can easily start studying short sales, things like that. So just because you haven't been in the business 20 years, 30 years like me, it doesn't mean you can't build a team. There's plenty of support out there and help for you. So let's move on. So where do we start, right? There's many different ways to build a team. And this is where it's going to get really important for you guys to pay close attention to this. So I'll go through some of these things. And if we have a company transaction coordinator, or do we want to have our own? I don't think you really need your own transaction coordinator until you probably are doing, at least 5, possibly up to 10. There's a lot of independent transaction coordinators that'll handle your files for a few $100. And if you say to me, I don't want to spend a few $100 to get the transaction handled, you got to rethink that, because these transaction coordinators are saving hours and hours a week. And when you go home at night and you're like, I didn't prospect today because I was playing around with my file, that's a big indicator it's time for a transaction coordinator. Showing agent. So there's showing agents and there's buyer's agents. And in our industry, most people think as a showing agent is a hourly or somebody who's paid to open doors. I really like this model. I'm not currently using this model. I will at some point, and I have in the past. So you could say, okay, look, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be looking for a buyer, looking for a seller, whatever, for your properties. I'm going to have, Cindy's going to be the one that's going to show you those 3 homes today. And then Cindy typically gets, $20, $40 a showing, or you can just pay them a flat salary per month, a couple grand a month just to be around to show homes. So if Cindy, the showing agent, sells 3 or 4 homes in the month and you're only paying a couple grand to keep that person on salary, it could be a very lucrative opportunity for you. Buyer's agents, the typical, everywhere from 70-30, 60-40 to 50-50 splits. I love having a buyer's agent team. I feel that I can be a little more free because I don't have to spend so much time. When you're just using a showing agent, then you have to kind of be a lot more involved with the client. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not how I choose to do it. Listing agents, there's some of us on this call, I can see your names right now, that are buyer's agents. And you say, I would rather stick a hot needle in my eye than list a home. And there's a few reasons people don't like listing homes. Number one, they're not getting their skill set up high enough to handle objections, or they don't have a market plan. They don't have a system in place to prove to a seller why they're a good agent. When all you have to do is drive people around in circles, it's a lot easier. But when you're a listing agent, it takes a little more skill, a little more talent, and a lot of confidence. So some people that I know and some people that I coach actually hire listing agents, and they'll typically pay 20 to 25% to go out and list a home for them. So that could be a really lucrative deal as well. Personal assistant. This is my number one, very first thing I think anybody should hire is a personal assistant. If you look around at what you do all day long, it's ridiculous. Dry cleaning, paying bills, like just stuff that takes up hours a day of your time, grocery shopping, and it's just not worth it. A personal assistant, can do all your errands for you. They can just basically handle your life for you. And it gets tremendously easy to prospect when you have a personal assistant. That's kind of why I like to have that with an independent transaction coordinator, because you can really leverage that out. Team manager. Some people don't like to manage the team. They want to build a team of 3 or 4 agents, but typically they'll have a master sales agent or a team leader or a team manager in the office, and they're pretty much there to hold people accountable and motivate, train, just keep things a little more organized. Larry, that's on this call right now, is my team leader, and he kicks ass and he takes care of everybody, and really goes out of his way to have call nights and hold them accountable, answer questions, and cool things like that. And the team leader, the team manager, usually gets a little better split, or they get little bonuses off the sales of the rest of the team. So that's a really important thing to think about too, depending on your side. Inside sales agent, it's like almost a must in today's market, where somebody has to be answering the phone and returning calls within 30 seconds to a minute. And more importantly, let's face it, real high eyes, and which are good buyer's agents, they don't like digging through databases all day. It's not fun. They're stuck behind a desk. So an inside salesperson could be paid hourly, salary, bonus per file. It just depends, and we can talk privately about that if you need some help on that. OSA. OSA is something that a lot of people don't take advantage of when they really should be, and that's just an outside sales agent. So if you can imagine, this is the person that goes to all the community events, the charity events, and go to all the network group meetings, and this is their main job, is to bring in business from the outside who's not already in your database. They can have a couple different job descriptions, but for the most part, you'll see them out. And when I try to point out these, you'll see what an outside sales agent is. It's kind of like your home warranty rep, your termite rep. A lot of escrow and title companies have outside sales agents. So if you could picture yourself with an outside sales agent, that could be amazing too. When everybody's out on the street bringing in business, that could be a really big deal. And it's a perfect job that you don't have to pay a salary on. You could say per deal. So some people like to go out and just involve themselves in the community and bring back business. Matter of fact, we have a team in Kentucky right now that has a couple OSAs, and they just murder it. Virtual assistants, debatable. Some people say, I like to keep my money in our country. And some people say, God sees no borders, and neither do I. I want to help everybody. So virtual assistants out of India, Philippines, there's many virtual assistants that can actually run your entire business from anywhere. We have one right now at our property management company. Her name's Barbie, and she does the most crazy things that you never would dream of. Anytime somebody says, I don't think that somebody has to be in my town to do this, that's what she does. And it's pretty amazing. There are a lot of American and Canadian based virtual assistants as well. At EXP, we have 500 of them in the cloud, right? So although they're mostly in our country, they're still virtual, and they're still assistants to our company. Marketing. So Deanna, my marketing person, who's awesome, she handles, listing and buyer presentations and a lot of tech stuff, a lot of posting, just a tremendous amount of stuff. Because one thing that you'll learn quickly is the more marketing you do, the better brand you build for yourself, the better. But however, to do marketing, and you probably already know this by listening to this, you could take 2-3 hours a day building little posts out and, trying to structure all your video stuff right and get brochures together. So a marketing assistant is really nice. The nice thing about a marketing assistant, you can get them fairly inexpensive. I have tons of friends all over the place that have their children, their friends' children, anybody that's, a millennial or younger could do this in their sleep. So it's just kind of hard to find somebody that has the same thought as you, as how you want your brand to be portrayed. So be careful with that. But a marketing assistant's really important. So when we think building a team, we can't just think, oh, I'm going to hire a buyer's agent, because now look at all this. This is all part of a team, right? And then expansion teams, especially you guys right now that are in lower price range areas, you need to build an expansion team for reals. That's one of the beautiful things about our company, is we can have expansion teams anywhere. in all 50 states and still work for the same company. But if you're in a little podunk town in the middle of Iowa and the average price range is 150,000, well, why not build an expansion team in Seattle or Miami where the average price range is $1 million? And even the commission after the split, your pay is still 5 times higher than you would be in your own neighborhood. So I would really consider building an expansion team too. And again, if you guys want help on that, I can help you. Let's see where we're going with this now. All right, so what do you need to build, right? Transaction coordinator sometime. Leads, not always. Most of the agents that are big agents, they don't promise any leads until somebody's proven themselves at their company. You're gonna go over software, marketing tools, meetings and culture. What you got to kind of define that up front. Marketing, this is the same thing. And if you are thinking about being on a team, this is all the stuff you need to be looking at too. Expectations and hours in the office is a really big thing. What are you going to tell your buyer's agents? What are you going to tell your marketing people? How many days a week? What days a week are you working? And open houses too. One of the best things that we've ever done, period, is open houses for agents. And if you have enough listings and you're running 1 or 2 open houses and they're done properly, you should sell another couple homes every weekend from that. So I really like to focus on that stuff. So if you want to be a buyer's agent, this is what I was saying. You're going to look for an agent with a transaction coordinator, with enough leads to keep you busy, and all the same stuff we just went over to build. Isn't that interesting? You want to be very cognizant of what team leader is running the office, so you see if you jive with that person or not. Training options is really big deal. We're going to jump right into that in a second. Name recognition is huge. You don't necessarily want to join a team that nobody knows about, because street cred goes a long way. There you go. All the same stuff if you want to be on the team. So this is the biggest question I get. I don't know how to pay these people. So let's just kind of scroll over that a little bit. Per file. Now, when I first started and I hired my first assistant, who ended up working for me for 16 years, by the way, when I was very new, I was doing, 1 or 2 transactions a month, but I knew it was time to get an assistant. And I said, okay, I'll pay you $1,000 a file. Well, sure enough, when you hire an assistant, your business explodes. So what happened to me is I was paying my assistant $150,000 a year because I was paying her $1,000 per file. So at some point I felt like she was making more money than me. So we had to redo that one after a while. You could pay them per lead if you want. You can, like, if your ISA or OSA is out, you can say, okay, every lead you bring in that's either pre-qualified or a pre-qualified seller, I'll pay you X amount. But then the problem with that is you have to actually close the lead yourself. So think about that a little bit. Salary, I love salary the best. It's usually very easy to control, but I swear, like I just saw payroll go through right now today. It feels like the 1st and 15th are every day. It comes so fast, and you just got to be prepared and have a little bit of money in the bank. So if you have a couple slow months, you can make sure you pay your staff, because the worst thing you could do is start getting busy and then go through the real estate roller coaster and then have to lay somebody off and start from square one again. So per hour. So if you're going to pay somebody per hour, you'll drive yourself insane trying to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like, you'll look over and your assistant will be goofing around on their Facebook, and you're like, I don't know if I'm really paying you to be doing that. So another reason I like salary, as long as you get your work done, I don't care what you do, from where you do it, it doesn't matter to me. Splits suck a lot. And here's what happens, and this is why I say this, and a lot of people don't think about it. And this is honestly where the showing agent was invented from. So you might get a sign call, give it to your buyer's agent, and they might end up buying your listing. And if you haven't pre-negotiated it, you might end up splitting the entire commission with somebody that all they did was make a phone call. Or you might get a $3 million buyer and they buy the very first house, and now your buyer's agent, is getting $30,000, for showing one house. So I accept that with my team, because it's like, look, sometimes they work 100 times harder and sometimes they get lucky. So I think it all evens out. But you got to be emotionally ready for that. You can pay per showing. We went over that. And honestly, $20 a door, there's plenty of people that'll do it. And what I like to do is I'll show, I'm an open book. So I'll show my staff exactly what our overhead is, because when you can show them your P&L and say, listen, it cost me $25,000 just to keep the doors open, that's enough to freak somebody out. And then they don't worry about splits anymore, because honestly, you know, it's cost us at least that much to keep our doors open at Team Bjorkman. And the staff, if and when they see the bills, they just can't even imagine the stress and the pressure of that. All right, so help these people make really good decisions. And right here, we're going to talk about buyer's agents when they come. When you have a lot of listings, and most of us should, those sign calls are gold. They're better than any Zillow lead. They're better than any open house lead. Those sign calls come in and they're just golden. So that's one of the things we do. If you buy leads, you know, that's a good reason to get them. Street credibility is huge. So I have a lot of people on the team that say, you know, Mike, I just went over to the house and I told them I worked with you, and they signed right there on the spot because you have such a good reputation for real estate in our town. If you're like kind of like a no-name person that doesn't have a real good marketing plan and you just kind of go out there, it might be a little harder sometimes to win listings over some of the bigger agents. So we don't have to worry about that. Especially right now, inventory is really low. So you want to tell a buyer's agent, say, listen, you know, on my listings, I'll make sure you're busy with open houses. So a lot of people like that. And lead agent referrals. So I'm sitting in Newport Beach right now in the motorhome, and a buyer somebody from my past clients or my sphere of influence calls and says they want to buy a home. Well, I can't really do that. I can't really serve people like that. So the people on my team that are hustling, they get those leads, and those are enough leads typically to feed their families and pay all their bills. So it's really important when you're trying to find the value of yourself and your team when you're trying to hire people, so they get to see this and they know it and understand it, because most buyers agents can't get all this stuff on their own. All right, so here's another very controversial slide that I have to show it to you because I've had enough buyers agents in the past to know how this works. Tony Robbins has a disc test. Let me go back there real quick. And you could just go on tonyrobbins.com's disc. So let's just talk about it real quick. I'm just going to go out and say it. The very best buyer's agent is a high I. That's somebody that's, well, it says right there, outgoing, enthusiastic, optimistic, which is a huge one, high-spirited and lively. Those are typically the people that are not afraid to ask for the close. They're not afraid to ask for a contract signed. They're not afraid to go into a network meeting and truly network. A high D is typically right behind a high I. You know, direct, results oriented, firm, strong-willed, forceful. But remember, the high D is the person that wants to be the boss. So if you do a disc test on somebody you're contemplating hiring, if you see a really high D, just remember you're going to end up their assistant. And it's true, and it sucks. And I've done it many, many times on accident. So when you hire an assistant and then you end up being theirs is not exactly what you want. The C's are really cool, and the S's are really cool. And here's the reason why. They're very, very loyal, and they don't really leave. They stay around for a long time. But the problem is, an analytical, all they want to do is prove everybody wrong. So they get in a lot of fights with buyers. They don't understand why a buyer can't see that it's a good deal. And sometimes they overthink prospecting, and you'll go through a database and they'll literally try to find every single piece of information possible. So 2 hours of prospecting and high I can burn through 25, 50 contacts. And then I find that a C might talk to 1 or 2 or 3 people. But the nice thing is, was an analytical, when they nail somebody, those people they're gonna buy a house from them because they are very, very impressed by their follow-up and their knowledge of the market and whatnot. And the S's are really cool too. You just have to be careful because these are our criers, right? These are the ones that get their feelings hurt. They lose their mind when a buyer isn't loyal, or if they lose a listing agreement. And this is not to say that everybody can be trained and adapt, because I have people on the team right now that probably weren't supposed to be on the team, but I liked them and I thought I believed in them, and they're really coming along as far as turning themselves into a little higher I than a C and an S. So it's kind of nice to see people come out of their shells a little bit too. All right. So Tony Alessandra is my everything when it comes to how I've learned to sell. So you guys, all these books at the bottom, they're all amazing books. The Platinum Rule is the most important one. You know, the Golden Rule, do unto others as you want them to do to you. And the Platinum Rule is simply do unto others as they want to be done to, if that makes sense. So I love non-manipulative selling as well. Matter of fact, I need to reread that book, The Art of Managing People, Personality Style Ways. Took me many, many years to learn how to not fly off the handle and scream at people. But that book helped me a lot. The Platinum Rule, Sales Mastery, they just apply that to sales more. So I think you guys get it. Just make sure at least start out with the Platinum Rule, get addicted to it, and you'll go from there. We talk about the different personality styles, because not everything is DISC, not everything's discs. All right, there's a driver, which I am about 90% driver, expressive, I'm about 100%, analytical, and amiable. Amiable is just what it says. Those are our criers and our sweethearts and all that good stuff. It's kind of like when we go to listings, you got to immediately figure out who's who and how to close that appointment. So we'll spend some more time on listings coming up soon too. So creating leads for the team is really important. We talked about this in week 2, I believe it was, when we talked about CRMs. And CRM is important because that could really drive leads to your agents. At EXP, we have KV Core. Our team can build themselves landing pages anytime they want, squeeze pages anytime they want. Nice CMA builder, the Open House app, and the Millions Mapped app. Like, these are some really powerful tools that your team could be using, and it's not an extra expense or an extra burden on you. So we don't need to go over the CRM again, because again, I think that was week 2, but just remember that before you build a team, this has to be dialed in, and I can help you with that as well. If you are going to buy Zillow leads, which I highly don't recommend, or Realtor.com, I think Realtor.com is 100% Opcity now. But HomeLight, all these companies that you say, oh, well, I have accounts with these people and I'm going to give those to the buyer's agents. Be careful, because their main goal right now is to slowly slide that scale up to Zillow's end dream wants to have all agents on either a salary or very low, like 20-30% split when they open up their national brokerage. Opcity obviously has already taken over Realtor.com. HomeLight, they started out at 20%. I think they're up to 35-40% in a lot of different places in the country now. So keep that in mind. So I'm not going to beat you over the head with CRM since we did that before. Let me just jam through this to see if there's anything I need to see. Yeah, just go back and make sure you do the CRM class. Okay, marketing, super important. Now, everybody that's part of this coaching has gotten an opportunity to have a free login to Maxa. Now, the nice thing about Maxa is, or some other type of marketing, but the team can actually go in and use pre-approved marketing material. So if you don't have a marketing person and your buyer's agent says, well, I want to go door knocking this afternoon, I want to get a door hanger like you see right here, you don't have to be involved in that. You can just say, print it out, text it to me, I'll approve it, and then I'll go and then send it to the printer, and you can have that done by the afternoon. So marketing is really, really important. If you don't have the proper software and the means to get marketing done for the team, they're gonna be very unhappy. So Breakthrough Broker is another excellent opportunity, and I'll show that. An in-house designer is very, very expensive. Outside designers are very, very expensive too. And that's why I love Maxa. You don't have to pay for any of that. These are just a little bit of pictures of the brochures. They're just super high end. These are what all the multi-million dollar Beverly Hills and Miami's agents use. It's all this marketing is beautiful and super easy to produce. Breakthrough Broker, this is the EXP part of it. We get it for free at EXP, and it's about $300 to $500 a month if you're not at EXP and you want to go use Breakthrough Broker. But it's really nice at any time to download a listing presentation or a buyer presentation or just listed solds. It's kind of like Maxa in a way. I like Maxa better. It's a little more clean for me, but Breakthrough Broker is definitely a fantastic option. And you have to have something like this with the team, or it's just not going to work. You're going to drive yourself insane. Here's a little bit of a little zoom in on it. You can see the listing presentations. There's several different kinds. buyer presentation. As we talk about buyer conversion in the next few weeks, you're going to learn that a buyer presentation is going to be most important thing that you have coming up. We're revamping our buyer presentation right now through Maxa, and it's going to be beautiful. And we're going to learn how to use that, and I'll use that to teach you guys how to build your buyer presentation. All right, so training is everything. A good agent will spend at least an hour a day on skill set. And training is something just never, ever stops as an agent. The worst thing you can do is, and I see this all the time, agents start selling 5 to 10 homes and they go, I got this. I understand this business. Well, what's funny is when I talk to them and consult with them, they're only getting 50% of their listings. They're only closing 50% of their buyers. And that's a really poor number, right? You want to get 90% of your listings, 90% of your buyers closed. So training takes a lot of toll on the team leader though. And if you're on a team, sometimes teammates get frustrated because the team agent is so busy selling homes, they don't have enough time to really coddle the agents the way they need to. So if you're going to build a team and continue, turning and burning team members, you have to have a way to really get these people trained up. Yeah, it's time, obviously. Coaching, people say, well, I'll just get a coach for my team. Well, that's fine, but remember that coach only knows so much. And the problem with coaches is, and I don't want to offend anybody on the call if you're a coach, but the reality is most coaches, they go into the business, they do pretty good, and then they realize they don't like selling homes, so they want to be a coach. Well, these coaches that are out there that train for all the big companies, they typically don't have enough experience on their own, which is why I love Club Wealth to death, because there's so much opportunity to move around between coaches and go to the events and learn other coaches' styles and stuff like that. But if you go to some of the other coaching companies, you get one person, maybe we're in the business 5 years, they haven't seen other markets, and it's like $2-3 grand a month. And I don't want to pay that as an agent or as a team leader. Masterminds are very expensive, very well worth it. So consider what you're going to require your team. Are you going to go to, like, we're part of the closing table and a couple other masterminds, janitors of FOMO, whatnot. And some of these masterminds that we're part of are 25 to 40,000 a year. And that's something to be considered too. Subscription-based coaching is awesome. And that's why all of you that are on this call right now had a 90-day period to try the David Knox coaching for free, which I just absolutely love that guy. He was one of my mentors in the 90s. Conventions, be upfront with your people who's going to pay for conventions. I like to make it a requirement for people to go to the conventions, especially the 2 Club Wealth events per year, the BSM and whatever the heck the other one is, but they're expensive. And a lot of times the buyer's agents aren't prepared to pay that. So you got to kind of consider what you're willing and not willing to do for your team. Company training. And I know there's people that say, oh, I work at KW, we have great training. No, you don't. I work at Remax, we have great training. No, you don't. You need outside training from real coaches, real people with experience. Most of the time, the broker owner hasn't sold a home in 20 years, and then they just start letting these wingnuts train on open houses that maybe done 5 open houses in their life, or they're reading out of some stupid manual that when I was part of writing Bold and Ignite, I fought with the people every single day. I'm like, don't put that in there. Don't put that in there. That's not right. And I would get outvoted on what was supposed to be in Bold and Ignite. So I hated that. And just remember, if your agents don't feel value, they are going to leave faster. So the whole idea, my idea right now is to coach people up for 6 months to a year, turn them on their own and let them build their own team. Right. But at EXP, it works because they stay at the company and I'm financially aligned with them forever. But if you're just burning through buyer's agents and they're leaving to go to other teams or other companies and you're never going to be financially benefiting from them again, it's hard. So that's why you have to make sure there's so much value to try to keep them around as long as you can, because when they find out about other training and they find out about other companies, they will go. All right. So I chose EXP because 5 to 7 classes a day. The top agents in the country are training this. They're all icon agents, which sell a ton of homes. They have real mastery that they have to prove. Like before I was allowed to teach in our world, they put me through a lot. And I'm one of the best trainers there is. And they really grinded me and made sure I was doing that I knew what I was talking about. They're all very giving, the recorded library. So this is basically what it looks like. And you guys all have the opportunity to get a free pass. I think it's good for another month and you can check it out. But as a team leader, looking at this, it's heaven. Like right now, I can say, all my team that's on this, I can say, go look at the calendar. And you can see there's 5 to 7 to 10 classes a day that are just awesome. And honestly, my biggest complaint is that there's 2 or 3 classes going on the same time that I want to see all of them. But you might have a listing agent on your team, so you would put them on more listings, or you might have somebody that sucks at social media, so you're going to give them all the social media training, so you can meet with your teammates individually and tell them what training to take. So that was what I chose. Here's the David Knox coaching that you guys all can try for free. But what I really like is how they can put you on these action plans. The new agent fast start, new agent multi-week training. Literally, all I have to do is sign my new team members up for this and my coaching, my pre-recorded stuff, and that's all they need, right? So this is really hard to find at any other company. They just don't offer things like this. If you look on the left here, it goes everywhere from personal development, marketing, prospecting. There's all these courses. Like I love this course, 10-week listing course. So I hope you guys are understanding that the agents need, well, not only the agents, you as the team leader need this training, but you can feel a lot more comfortable and confident raising a team knowing that you have this arsenal, and you at no time are responsible for training them unless you want to fine tune a couple things, work with them individually. But the reality is there's no way in the world that you can offer that kind of training to a team and make it make sense. Let me see, how much is David Knox? It depends on how many users you have. I think the lowest one might be like 200 a month or 250 or something like that. But if you're interested, make sure I'll give you David Knox's cell phone number and you can call him personally and use my name. Probably get a little bit better deal because he's been a buddy of mine forever. All right, let's move on here. I hope you guys are liking seeing all this stuff. So if you're going to be a team leader, now you have to really blow yourself up, right? So I have Mike Bjorkman training, my YouTube channel. I have Mike Bjorkman YouTube channel that's just for the consumer to see. And then I have my podcast, realestatemarketingshow.com, that you guys should all be on there. But anyways, the idea is to get out in the public or in your industry so people can see you. So you want to make darn sure you have really good name recognition. That'll help you build a team and keep a team. Get as much content out as you can now for training them and getting out in the community. Get on stages. Anytime you could teach a class on a stage, whether it's at a community event or another real estate company or something, just get your name known. It's very important. Get into branding. We have a couple branding classes on the YouTube channel that you guys should all watch. Branding's almost everything to me. A lot of coaches out there say your personality is your brand and your database is your brand. And I do believe that, but it's also nice to go to home and say, why did you call me over here? Well, I've just seen your name forever, so I trust you. That's a really cool phone call to get. Get involved, obviously. Learn the next market. We talked about that just for a few minutes earlier about learning short sales, learning REO, learning loan modifications, and all those types of things in case it comes back, and it has to come back at some point, right? You might want to learn about auction.com. You might want to learn about Zoom. There's a lot of companies that are going to come out of nowhere and blow your mind really quick. So you should just constantly be learning about what's going to happen next. Dive deep into coaching. Obviously, if you're a team leader, you want to coach. I recommend Club Wealth. And there's some coaches on Club Wealth that have mega teams. They have 20, 40 agents, and they're really, really good. And they're doing 300 to 500 transactions a year. So I might hire a coach like that. And quite honestly, most of I coach a lot of those coaches, but I still rely on them for help too a lot because they're actually running huge teams. Go to all the masterminds you can and must be on a plane. Get out of your town. The best events are never in your town. Don't try to do online events, but go get on a plane and really meet people and learn with them. But you'll start getting referrals like crazy. KW taught me this a long time ago. Remax was never that way when I was there for 19 years, but when I went to Keller Williams, they're like, dude, meet as many agents from all over the country as you can because that's a really good supplemental income. And it's true. We're always getting referral fees from sending buyers and sellers all over the country. Massive social media. Social media is everything, and we don't need to beat that one. I think that was week 3 or something like that. You guys can go back to that. So now, expectations of your team leader, right? This gets pretty long. So if you're a team leader thinking about building a team, write a little manual out, and these are the things you're going to be putting in this. So all of your buyer's agents are treated the same, or whoever's on your team. Who's going to back them up on their days off, how the splits work, length of their contract, how long are they going to work with you? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it month to month? How are you going to be handling leads? Like right now on our team, we're saying you're not going to get any leads until you're trained and tested, and then we'll start giving you leads. And what leads too, because sometimes the teammates, if they don't understand going into it, they fight because they're like, why, Mike, are you giving all the good leads to so-and-so and that? And I say, whoever's hustling and whoever I trust, that's who's going to get the leads. Meetings, we have in-person meetings, we have Zoom meetings. When are the meetings? What do you expect? Sometimes the agents don't like to go to meetings, so you got to figure all that out up front. Morning huddles, I know Larry does morning huddles with our team, and they really seem to enjoy that. Motivation, handle any issues. Call nights, some people love these, some people hate them. Our team does call nights all the time, and I can't do it. I just refuse to do it. I can't handle it, but it's really good to have, and you should be doing it. But they need to know their expectations, how open houses, vacations, desk fees. That's another thing we should probably talk about. If you're a team leader, you can charge your agent a desk fee, especially if you have brick and mortar or whatnot. You might say, to work at Team Bjorkman, you're going to pay $250 a month. And that basically is just going to help pitch in for our marketing, pay the rent a little bit. Like we have a very big office and it's very expensive. So you got to talk about office space, who they're sharing office space with, if they're going to get it and when they're not going to get it. These are all the things that I've gone over in my career that came to be massive fights and just terrible situations. That's why I say do it up front. Other income opportunities, I think that's really important, because sometimes the people say, look, what else can I do? What else can I do to make extra money? So, sometimes they get involved in your property management division. Sometimes they get, well, especially with us at EXP, we teach them how to get revenue share and stock. And that's a really big thing for them. There's also health insurance. Are you at a company that offers health insurance? Do you pay benefits? Cars are a big deal too. Like I hire agents sometimes and I don't think about it. And then I find out they're driving a 97 Civic around that's all primered out. I'm like, no, you can't represent me in that car. No. Like, so you better have that talk. And I put it in there because it's a real serious thing. Any type of marketing fees, what kind of staff you're going to give them or going to have, or if you want to have, what kind of social events are you going to force them to go to, and understanding the overhead. Like I said before, they're going to need to really understand how much truly it costs to run an operation. So I'm not going to go into that. That's part of the EXP presentation on how we can give them revenue share. Oh, this goes into another thing there. So basically, you guys, I really hope that helps you. And obviously this is going to be recorded, but I would highly recommend that you write all this down and just kind of plan this out. What's your vision for your team? Or if you're going to be on a team, and of course I'm here to help you too. You guys just Marco Polo me or text me or whatever, or send messages. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to encourage you highly to either be on a team or build a team. The day of an individual agent is no longer. It just isn't. It's not possible in today's market. Speed to lead, the amount of leads, the amount of days off, like all that stuff, it just doesn't work. So you're going to need to, like I said, build or be on one. So, okay, guys, do we have any questions popping up in here? Looks like we got something going on. I don't know. I cannot hear you. That's from earlier. All right, cool, guys. Love you. Have fun. Next week is going to be insane. Oh, and if you didn't know, this was a 90-day coaching program, and I'm committed to keep this going on as long as you guys are loving it. I'm seeing amazing results from you guys, and I'm so proud of you guys, and it just makes my heart warm to see that you guys are kicking butt and sharing the successes with me. And share your success in the group too, because these people really need to see what you're doing. And then what is this question here? How do you recruit if you're a solo and continuing brand, but still a little smaller? That's a very easy question. So when you're talking to agents, you can just go through your MLS, get Market View Broker metrics, and just start calling agents. Look for agents that have done maybe less than 5 transactions in the last year, and just call them and say, hey, can I help build your career? Can I help coach you along? I have too many leads. So that's the best way to do that. But anyways, that's pretty much the gist of it, guys. I'm going to go at the beach. It's like 70 something degrees right here, and we're sitting on the water. So it's time to go have a little bit of fun. But I do love you guys. Thank you for being here. And anything you need, come talk to me.